In this video, we are going to talk about tongue development. So the tongue is divided into the anterior 2/3 and the posterior 1/3. The anterior 2/3 are formed by the first and second pharyngeal arches, whereas the posterior 1/3 is formed by the third and fourth pharyngeal arches. You need to know which cranial nerves control the taste, sensation, and motor control of the tongue. I also wanted to point out the Foramen Cecum. The Foramen Cecum is the point where the embryological thyroid gland begins to descend. So taste is sensed by cranial nerves 7, 9, and 10, and these all converge as a cluster of cell bodies called the nucleus solitarius. More like the nucleus solitasteus, so that helps remind me that this nucleus is responsible for taste. Cranial nerve 7 does the anterior 2/3 for taste, cranial nerve 9 does the posterior 1/3 of the tongue for taste, and believe it or not, cranial nerve 10 covers the epiglottis, which can also taste. Then there is sensation. Sensory information is sensed by cranial nerve V3, 9, and 10. And remember that the V3 will cover the anterior 2/3 of sensation, cranial nerve 9 covers the posterior 1/3, and cranial nerve 10 covers the epiglottis for sensation. So motor control is innervated by cranial nerves 12 and 10. Cranial nerve 12 does all the intrinsic muscles of the tongue, and cranial nerve 10 controls the Palatoglossus. Another trick to remembering the muscles of the tongue is to focus on the word construction. The key muscles of the tongue you need to know are genioglossus, hyoglossus, styloglossus, and palatoglossus. Genio means chin. So the genioglossus brings the tongue towards the chin. This can be described as depression and protrusion of the tongue. Hyo refers to the hyoid bone. The hyoglossus brings the tongue towards the hyoid bone. This can be described as depression and retraction of the tongue. Styloglossus reminds me of style. The tongue is kind of boring. What is the most stylish way you can make a shape with your tongue? Roll it into a straw. The styloglossus is responsible for drawing the sides of the tongue up to make a trough. The only exception of the tongue muscles is the palatoglossus because it is innervated by cranial nerve 10. The palatoglossus brings the tongue to the palate, and it's responsible for elevation of the posterior tongue.